been obviously there's been a boardroom restructure, and I don't know if this was deliberately done, but I did see someone actually refer to Trevor Birch as Trevor Bitch on Twitter.
Right.
I think it was a typo, but he's rumoured to have a reputation for going in and restructuring clubs primarily for
sale.
Find it. We did have a question actually on Twitter about that. So it comes from Dara 3 Mr. 34 so 3773 374-73692. It's a great surname to have, but there you go. So Dara says, what is your view on the business restructure? Has this happened to oversee a takeover in your opinion? And hopefully Amazon, which I think a lot of people seem to have jumped to that conclusion. Although, Andy, I know you have strong views on Mr. Bezos and why he will not be out.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, Bezos and Amazon are a behemoth, massive company. What's in it for them? What's in it for them to buy Spurs?
But you say that. So what about the people that bought Man City? Yeah, but in terms of their wealth, I don't know how their wealth compares, but were they not also in a situation where they could afford to buy the Premier League?
Well, yes, but what they're doing is that they're I've got to be careful here, but they're buying a football club for public relation reasons because there's certain human rights issues with the Emirates. So
it allows
whereas with Amazon, that's a Western company that doesn't have, it is a company. It's not a state. It's not an all state. It doesn't have human rights issues. Well, might do, but I'm not aware of any.
It allows you. So the which side club. No, sorry, was my audio delayed, or was Andy's? So as part of an organisation within an organisation type thing, if you think of the organisation as a massive whole, it now owns the stadium and all of the things that it has to do, and the assets that are attached to it, and the football board just focuses on the football business, academy exactly. Through to first team, that is a business within a business.
Yeah.
So for me, it's almost like a case of saying, well, at some point, that is what the football club is. It is that bit. It's returning back to a route of saying, well, actually, you have a director of a football board, which has got a director of football operations. It's got a director of football administration and governance. It's got a
chief scout,
technical performance director, and what was the other role? I can't remember now. Oh, a youth analysis, recruitment analysis, and youth. Well, that as an entity is Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. Everything else is assets and running assets.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So if Mr. Bezos comes along and says, I want to buy Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, it's like, okay, does that mean, are you buying the stadium? Are you buying the assets? Are you buying into that as an organisation? Do you really have anything to do with what the football board is and what that is? Or is that a nucleus within a wider organisation?
No, that's the question really, isn't it? Because if they are separate legal entities, that would be different. But all Spurs have done here, from what their press release said,
currently
is that they put together this football board to run the football.
Focused on that part of the business.
So maybe they will do something afterwards.
Rather than anything else.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think the key thing is that this, like Mr. Birch, is not renowned for being in situ for very long.
No, that's true. Yeah.
So as like no one knows exactly what his remit is. I think, although obviously he knows and Levy knows, and obviously all our in the know people know because they know, but never don't tell us. They don't tell us the key stuff. They just tell us stuff to throw us off the scent for the key stuff. But whatever he's been brought in to do, he'll do that, and then he'll move on. But so certainly everyone seems to is quite excited because it feels like the fact that he's been brought in is going to trigger some kind of change, structural change.
Out with the red logo, and now the nice Amazon black logo.
There was, you're right, but there was a talk, wasn't there? There was a talk later on today about negotiations to terminate the deal with AIA.
Well, oh, really? I didn't know that.
No, they're going to terminate. That's what he's been brought in to do. Terminate that deal, take the hit, and then bring in a new commercial.
But then,
sponsorship deal.
If they terminate the deal, this would be a massive hit. If they terminate the deal, if they do it with immediate effect, then every single kit that has been sold, they will have to, as a gesture of goodwill, give people new kits or fix it.
It won't. I don't think it's going to be this. I don't think it's going to be a this season thing. I think what you're looking at is we've
building for next season.
Building for if you're thinking if that's the way that it's going, then you've got naming rights, sponsorship, the whole thing like that. So that's what you're gunning. That's potentially what you're gunning for. You're not going to change. You're not going to do anything now. I mean, whether that then transforms into a ENIC have sold 25% of their stock to Amazon and will now be called the Amazon Stadium, and our primary sponsor will be Amazon. That's a different conversation.
Do you think that's going to? There was talk about us having our own store, or was it something online within Amazon?
The Amazon's a store with an online store.
But you can do that now. That's
for £500 million.
But maybe he's
sponsorship and naming rights for the stadium. Amazon,
but they make that better.
I think the reason that they're doing that is control the brand better on Amazon.
So that's the reason why
Emirates to Arsenal. Any takers, Andy?
Harvey White. So far, Harvey White, the young left-footed midfielder, looks very busy, compact, works really hard. Dennis.
So are you just with all due respect, Stacey, are you just chucking out names of people that are promising, and we've heard that they're promising, and therefore they've come on and looked reasonable, and we've got overexcited? Because I don't
possibly, it's just these are games that are nothing games. They've got to do it in actual competitive games, haven't they? They've got to come on. He's got to find a trust about a player. You've got to have someone that's an absolute head and shoulders above everyone else. Probably Troy Parrott for us is going to be someone who's going to be able to come in and step in when Harry Kane does go and be our main striker. He's got to learn. He's got to work hard. He's got to get his head down.
The injury record, isn't he? Just to get himself injured. So
I think Skippy going to Norwich and Troy going to Mills, brilliant. 2 seasons. They can nail down a place in them sides and do well for them. Then I'm sure that they'll come back. They'll come back to the club and settle in. But some of the players, I don't look into the games really much. I think Everton's the game that I'm looking forward to. The first game of the season against a James Rodriguez-led Everton side. That's going to be tough. So but we've got a good record against Everton. So fingers crossed we can keep it going.
I wouldn't get too excited about Everton. I wouldn't say wouldn't get too excited, but every pre-season when they open their checkbook, people get a little bit worried and Everton are overtaking us again, like first ambition, blah 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 blah.
I know.
So we had another question on Twitter, so I'm just going to quickly chuck that out. It came from Spiggy Tope, also known as Spiggy, on Twitter, and he says, without giving any names away, do you feel that the club should at least disclose the number of players that have been afflicted with the lurgy, as he puts it, affectionately refers to it, where he means COVID, but obviously,
yeah.
So Harry Winks.
I don't know really. I personally don't really care. Do you guys care?
No.
Well, I do, because if it's one of these players in this week or next week, then they're not available for the first game of the season. So I do care, because it could be someone that's key.
Yeah.
So
I see. Okay, that's a good point. Yeah.
I only think it matters when they come to talk about, when the build up to the game, they're saying, okay, if somebody's out injured, someone's off sick, something else like that. It's like, okay, tell us, and how long you think they're going to be out for. I don't think we need to run in commentary.
No, but I mean, there's obviously, I guess the reason he's asked is because there's certainly players that, that have been isolating and as a result haven't featured in any pre-season. And if they don't feature in any pre-season, what's the impact on the first game of the season? Because they've not played any pre-season matches. We don't know how much training that they've been involved in. We don't know. Obviously, they're training on their own potentially, whilst they're. We don't know how serious the situation is with their COVID. Whether it's just they're self-isolating as a precaution, but they can do full gym work or full fitness and stuff that they were doing when they were doing their their Zoom-led training sessions during the lockdown. But they're not allowed to do any ball work, because there's no one. They've got to be on their own. So therefore, they're 2 weeks and three friendlies behind the other players. And I know obviously that the gap between last season and this season is quite small, so actually the loss of fitness won't be as significant, but it may still have a difference, so it might impact our start of the season.
It might well do. No, from that perspective, I see that being an issue, but from a personal perspective, I don't really care that much about as long as they're not really ill, then it's fine by me.
Oh, you had that after. I see. So, the last thing I wanted to wrap up with, because Andy, me and Stace, which one? We are recording. There's going to be a little bit of editing going on, son.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Bit of editing going on.
Broadband went. So
okay.
Sorry, what were you saying?
Apologise to our listeners for.
It all happens in Haywood Heath.
Yeah, so we'll have to. I guess we'll splice that together. No one will know any different.
No one will know. No one listens anyway.
So we'll start from this point. So, just got a final point I want to finish off with is just the season ticket relocations. Me and Stace, we wanted to relocate to Paxton, to the core, to that hardcore area.
Never seen this lose when I've been standing in the Paxton.
Yeah.
And and you've managed to secure a relocation into the Prawn Sandwich Brigade. So looking forward to that, are you?
Yeah. I've put my order in for the prawn sandwiches, so hopefully they'll be ready by the time I get there. Yeah.
Whereabouts are you going to be?
Upper East.
Upper East isn't prawn sandwiches. I thought you were going to say West Upper.
Don't.
Yeah, that certainly is. Yeah.
Don't spoil it.
Don't spoil it. we've sold it to him for ages, telling him like, you need to move East Upper because that's where the posh knobs go, and he's bought into it, and now you're telling him we've sold